Welcome and thank you for stopping by. The name of our presentation is Departmental Transformation, Assessing the Assessment Process. The purpose of this project was to examine one academic department's evaluation process for practical applications. The first part of this project was to look at the research on accountability measures within the U.S. systems of higher education and select a continuous improvement framework in which to analyze the department's assessment process. The second part of the project was to focus on an analysis of the assessment process using Deming's continuous quality improvement model. Finally, recommendations and conclusions were made for improving the program's assessment process. These recommendations are also useful for other academic institutions to consider on their continuous improvement journey. How effectively are U.S. public colleges and universities assessing their own performances? How seriously are they taking this impending change? Burke reported that 45% of those charged with institutional assessment and accountability claimed that little was known about it at the dean's level and fewer than that at the department chair's level. Even at the departmental levels, a proliferation of goals and measures dilutes efforts and impedes progress. What effective assessment questions need to be asked? What observations need to be made to encourage the development and use of assessment frameworks? The study limited itself to a description of the current graduate program assessment process within the department, not the college or university assessment process. The study represented the perspectives of 3 researchers. It must be recognized that 2 of the researchers completing the study were employed within the department being evaluated. To offset the existing biases, a 3rd researcher, external to the department, was included. The 3rd researcher was an external program evaluator. The most traditional institutional route to accountability has always been the establishment of goals and collection of data. The need to use data to evaluate effectiveness grew sharply with the Industrial Revolution. Taylor's, from 1911, use of scientific methods for the analysis of job performance led to a results-oriented belief about productivity. Data were viewed from an event perspective. Collect, aggregate, and analyze the data sets, and then move to the next event. We selected Deming's Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle as a framework to assess our current program evaluation process. The PDSA cycle developed out of a need for ongoing quality improvement. The economic downturns of the 60s and the 80s resulted in many businesses and organizations looking at improvement as an unending process. Schuhart's continuous improvement model, Plan, Do, Check, Act, or PDCA, formulated in 1939, was modified by Deming in 1986 into the Plan, Do, Study, Act. PDSA is now also used as a common framework for institutional assessment at the K-12 public school level. We used the Deming's PDSA cycle to ask 4 fundamental questions. What is the current departmental assessment plan? What is currently being done? What are the data and results? And what are the recommended changes to the plan? To begin the process, we looked at the department's current assessment plan. The Graduate Program Assessment Plan was part of the annual assessment plan required of all university departments. The department's annual report included student assessment results, a description of how the results were to be used for changes to the instruction and curriculum, and the next year's assessment action items. Strengths of the plan include the fact that it triangulated the data sets by using student reflections, student portfolios, and student exit surveys completed over time. A deeper perspective of programmatic strengths and concerns could be identified. Recommendations for improving the plan are as follows. Though the assessment plan was a formal report, data were reported using the informal analysis methodology. Updates and changes to the plan should have more stakeholder involvement. The institutional reporting outline was a good first step in the overall improvement process. Review of the current reporting format and required data sets would move the assessment process to the next level of excellence. The do part of the Deming cycle represents the examination of implementation of the assessment plan. We look for gaps between the written plan and the activities required to implement assessment. Data collected for the annual assessment report included student culminating projects, student exit surveys, faculty meeting minutes, graduate curriculum committee meeting minutes, past department assessment reports. The department's use of data, although informal, was identified as a strength. The triangulation of data are also commendable. Use of qualitative student data encouraged faculty discussions and supported greater process ownership by the faculty. Recommendations for improving the do stage were as follows. Data collected on the online student exit survey need to be updated. Examining external stakeholders' perspectives of graduates would also contribute to a more comprehensive picture of departmental outcomes. Program evaluation process examined the data analysis procedures and processes for the study cycle. Additionally, feedback loops and the dissemination of data were also examined. We found that the department had data sources for the last 5 years. The researchers determined that the assessment data represented a comprehensive view of the department through the lens of the students, faculty, and other stakeholders. Strengths of the study cycle. A review of the minutes to meetings and subsequent programmatic changes indicated that the department had embedded the use of data into its decision-making processes. Programmatic decisions were directly linked to assessment data. Weaknesses of the study cycle. The process for analysis needed to better triangulate the data. Informal processes used were beneficial for department improvements, but need to become formalized. Recommendations for improving the study stage were as follows. Previous years of analysis should be incorporated to demonstrate trends of progress and need. The different sources of data need to be triangulated to show how critical issues are supported by data. Deming's ACT stage was examined next. Strengths noted included the fact that the examples of the department's use of the ACT stage were found in the annual update of the assessment plan and annual report. The department realized the need to evaluate the effectiveness and implementation of its assessment framework. The results of the program evaluation report were used to identify specific weaknesses in the types of data collected. The lack of demographic data collected, the need for a comprehensive rubric-based analysis of student portfolio, and the need for the creation of an electronic data collection and reporting system. However, there was a need for a formal feedback loop connected to a formal written assessment plan. The recommended change was that a formalized program evaluation system is needed that examines all improvement variables such as faculty contributions to graduate student research agendas or faculty publications and departmental assessment practices. Conclusions and recommendations. Deming's plan, study, do, act cycle provided a simple yet effective model that could be used to provide baseline data for our academic program. The model helped highlight deficits in our current assessment model while demonstrating that the current evaluation model was fairly comprehensive. The following are insights we gained that other institutions consider as they work towards continuous program improvement. Accountability using data is not optional, but needs institutional guidance and support. The process needs time to evolve. Departments needing quality assessments are encouraged to start the process as soon as possible. The evaluation of the assessment process should be viewed as developmentally healthy for the department. Institutions may well move through a process from informal data use to formalized data structures. This should be viewed as necessary as faculty, department chairs, deans, and provosts gain greater understandings of the different models. That which is measured gets done. Higher education needs to view assessment and program evaluation as an opportunity, not as something to do because they are required to. Departments need to set clear improvement goals. Departmental dialogue must ask serious questions, such as, what should be measured? How should the evaluation of results be monitored? How should results be reported? How can all stakeholder voices, students, employers, and alumni be heard and involved in the transformation process? Thank you for watching our presentation. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions about our presentation.